What's going on, guys? Chad Christopher here, and welcome to my very first woodworking project. That's right, we about to go deep into some cornholes today. I shouldn't say that on camera. Cut that, Kyle. Kyle, cut that. Kyle, cut that. We're back. This is not only my first woodworking project on the channel, but it's legitimately my first woodworking project ever. So I want you to bear that in mind. If you saw my last video, I went out, I picked up a bunch of tools. I had a good friend come with me and kind of guide me through what to grab. And then he came back with me, helped me set everything up, and gave me a pretty good crash course on everything, obviously on safety and how to use everything and stuff like that. So I'm feeling pretty confident today. We're gonna see how it goes. We are building cornhole boards like I mentioned. So yeah, man, there's a bunch of videos on YouTube building these, everywhere from a very, very basic build up to pretty much as advanced as you wanna make it. I'm probably gonna be on the more basic side because, as I said, this is my first time, and I wanna get through it and make sure that we can get something to play with this weekend. So that all being said, the tools that I'll be using today, a skill saw here, a circular saw to make the cuts on the big sheets of plywood, a jigsaw to help out with that circle, like the circle cut in the top of the board, and then obviously a drill. I've also got a miter saw back there that I'll probably end up using just to cut the 2x4s, make it a little bit easier. But I think you probably just need, one or the other. Probably this would do just fine for everything. If you had a bandsaw instead of a jigsaw, that's gonna be even better. I just obviously don't have one. I think we've got like 6 or 7 steps to get through. It should be a pretty straightforward thing. In terms of materials list, I do have all that down in the video description below, but it's a couple 2x4s, it's a big 4x8 sheet of plywood. Honestly, I think that's it. I mean, the fasteners, right? Screws and nails and bolts and stuff like that. So I'll talk about those as we go. I'll also have those written down in the video description below. That's enough talking. Let's start building. All right, so here's our cut piece of plywood. I cut it to 4 feet by 2 feet, so exactly 48 inches by 24 inches. First up, I'm gonna take a router to the edges as well and just kind of give a nice bevel to all the edges. I don't know that that's really spec for a tournament quality board or whatever, but we're gonna spend some time, router out these edges.
I've been on the west side, cause it's where I stay. I just made 1,000, blew it in your face. I've been going in, I'ma close the case. I can't wait no more, man, I gotta blow today. I've been on the west side, cause it's where I stay. I just made 1,000, blew it in your face. I've been going in, I'ma close the case. I can't wait no more, man, I gotta blow today.
Man, my first edge, and I don't know, I maybe caught a knot or I just did something wrong, but I guess maybe we'll just take a sander to it. I don't know, hopefully at least smooth it out. All right, one board down, one to go. Look at that, that looks pretty nice though. Got a very nice little finish. I think that's gonna add a lot to it. All right, time for the second one.
Feeling like the man, I'm my own boss now. Selling all my exes, now they getting crossed out. I've been on the west side, cause it's where I stay.
All right, so I'm gonna mark the hole now and cut the hole out. We want the center of the hole to be 9 inches from the top of the board and then 12 inches, so essentially in the middle of this 24 inches. So one thing you'll notice I'm doing is starting at the 2 and just going to the 11 rather than starting here, because since I've got that bevel, I don't really trust where this is. So if I just move my 2, obviously we know the 2, and I just can kind of see that line and line it up with the edge there. That's kind of what I'm going off of. And then I'm just going up to the 11 right there. So we'll start on that 3 there. And we'll come into 15 right there. So we can see that cross should be the center of our circle. All right, so I was really gonna get like a compass. You like put a point in and then have a pencil and it draws a perfect circle. We need a 6-inch circle. Unfortunately, I forgot one of those. However, the warehouse that my studio is in actually built a cornhole board not too long ago. So I'm just gonna trace their hole. It's kind of cheating, but I don't know, it's not that big of a deal, I guess. So let's cut this thing out. Since I don't have you can get like a 6-inch drill bit essentially just to drill a perfect hole. I didn't want to drop the 60 bucks or whatever it is for one. So I have a 1/2-inch drill bit here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a couple holes. I'm gonna drill 1 through the middle and then probably like 4 along the outside. And then I'm gonna take my jig and I'm just gonna go to those 4 different holes, kind of cut out a big piece of it. I don't know, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit easier to stick along the edge of this. It's not gonna be perfect, but you know, we're gonna do the best we can. So anyways, I'm gonna drill those holes right now. Well, we ripped up more of the board. Why can I never keep track of that brush? You can see that I ripped up part of the plywood again. I mean, it must just be me going too hard with the drill or something. I probably just need to be a little bit softer with it. I'm not sure, but yeah, that chip's kind of gonna suck because it's right on the hole, but it's too late now, so apparently whoever's throwing at this board is gonna have a bit of an advantage. Okay, so I cut out sort of the inside of this circle. Now I'm gonna go back through and really try and get up close to the edges. I just think that kind of a wider arc is always gonna be a little bit easier than trying to make closer turns or whatever. So I'm just giving myself a little bit, hopefully, easier circle to work with. I mean, listen, that's a pretty rough circle. Try and sand it a little bit. This side was where it was like broke earlier and it just got even worse. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe a little bit of sand. We might see if we can get that router in there. I don't know if we can or not, but if we can, give it a little bevel, I mean, we might be able to even some of that out. That's the hope.
We have a dilemma.
We do have a dilemma. I mean, aside from this the shape of circular hole. I mean, let's just put that aside. This is, do you think we just rip this up and then you know, just try and bevel this edge? Is that possible without just continuing ripping? I don't feel like we can keep this.
No.
I think we need to do something, so I say we rip it up.
Rip it up. Oh, going for it.
All right, we're calling this something new. This is a rustic cornhole board. One thing that I don't like as a beginner about because I watched a ton of these videos, building everything really, and they do it perfectly. Granted, it's probably all taught from like people who are experts in this or have been doing it for a long time, but even the people who aren't, they never show their mistakes. Like I could have easily just tossed this, got another board and tried again until it looked right. But I don't feel like that's beneficial to you guys out there that are new because like you're gonna run into stuff like this. It's better to watch me mess up and then you can watch for it. I also think that it's just real, right? This channel is gonna be real. It's genuinely me learning. I don't promise a perfect product, but I think it'll be cool to see as these videos progress, me progress. And we'll always remember this. We'll always remember that this board had some good character. Yeah, I'm about that. I'm about that life. Look at Kyle and his big ass muscles helping out.
Big ass muscles.
Yeah. I feel like a proud dad at this point. Oh.
Damn, that's ugly, bro.
That's my kid. Don't call him ugly.
Your kid ugly.
All right, let's hope this second one goes just as well as the first one, Kyle. Kyle told me to say, let's hope this one goes better. Well, you know what, Kyle? F you. So this hole did turn out significantly better. I mean, it's still messed up, don't get me wrong, but it's much better than that one. A couple things I did different. When I was drilling the holes initially, I didn't push near as hard. I went a lot slower. Same thing with the jigsaw. I feel like I was pushing forward a lot, which may have been like, I don't know, cracking up the grains or something like that of the board. So I just kind of let the blade go and I didn't push it forward at all. I kept it pretty smooth. It's not a perfect circle, but I wasn't expecting a perfect circle. I just wasn't quite expecting that either. So I think this one was a success. So next step is we're gonna build the frame. So we're gonna build the frame out of 2x4s. We're gonna cut the corners. We're gonna try and do a 45 cut on all of those so they line up, you know, to a nice T rather than just stacking the 2x4s on each other. That might, you know, I hope it looks nice with these beveled edges and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna put that nice compound saw to use and give it a shot. All right, so we're gonna build the frame next, just out of just standard 2x4s. What we're gonna do is, so these boards, they're just gonna run, we've got 48 inches by 24 inches. So I'm gonna cut to those exact specs, and then I'm going to make the edges come up to a 45. So the longest edge on this is gonna be 24, and then it's gonna come in at a 45-degree angle, and then a 48-inch coming in also at a 45-degree angle. So, all together, we are going to need 4 pieces at 48 inches on the longest corners, 4 pieces of 24 inches on the longest corners, and then we're also gonna need some legs. So we'll cut the legs last. I think they're 13 inches, but let me check my measurements again before I make those cuts. So let's do the frame cuts first. Okay, so we've made all our cuts, and that went fairly well. I mean, I guess we'll see when we put them together, but it seemed to go well. We have 4 of these 48 inches and 4 of these 24 inches. And you can see that we've cut these at a 45-degree angle so that they should match up real nice. I got this like 90-degree clamp, but I'm sure it's user error, but I can't get it to like line up well. So I'm just gonna use my little square here and just kind of do the best I can to make sure these kind of join together fairly square. I'm gonna put some of this wood glue on for now, and then I'm gonna take some screws and go through, some 2-inch screws and go through on the edges. But hopefully this glue lets it set a little bit. So, I don't know. Let's try it out. It says apply a pretty decent amount, so I'm gonna apply a little bit of a decent amount here. Yo, so we got a rectangle. We got a rectangle. And it's, I mean, it's not bad. Like most of these corners are not bad. They're not great though either. Like you can see it's kind of overhanging there. This one was 100% the worst one. We started here and then there and then there and then there, and they kind of progressively got worse. But I think it'll be okay. So we secured, I originally started with wood glue to keep it in place, and then I put 2 number 8 deck screws, 2-inch long, into each corner there. Listen, we have a rectangle right now. You can't be too mad. So we're gonna throw this top piece up now. Just even see how it lines up. Hopefully it lines up decently well. Throw just a light layer of glue, and then we're gonna go through and either screw or nail. Right, I'm gonna use the screwed up hole on this one, just in case the second one turns out a little bit better. But that beveled edge is nice though, I tell you what. Okay, those corners line up.
That one don't.
Well, just hold your horses, Kyle. Listen right now. Also, I think I might have made these a little bit too high, if I'm being real with you. All the videos I saw online said to use a 3/4 inch plywood. This is an inch, I'm pretty sure. So I'm probably gonna be a 1/4 inch off in height. But that being said, look at this. Look at that.
That tiny coffin.
Oh, it does look like a coffin, doesn't it?
I've been on the west side, cause that's where I stay. I just made 1,000, blew it in your face. I've been going in, I'ma close the case. I can wait no more, man, I gotta blow the day.
All right, aside from the stain and the legs, that's a cornhole board. So we've got some 220 grit sandpaper here. I'm certain that this is not proper form, but I'm just trying to get this thing sanded up to a very fine, nice little finish here, and then we're gonna throw some stain up on it. So we're gonna stain this with wood finish minwax penetrating stain, dark walnut. It says just brush it on there, wait like 5 to 15 minutes. The longer you wait, the darker the stain. Wipe it off. And we already sanded it down to 220. It did say to go with the grain of the wood. I didn't read that till now, I probably should have done that. But yeah, we ran that sandpaper all over it, so hopefully this works out. Alright, so we just finished cutting, these are the legs of the board. So these are supposed to be 13 inches from here to here. I went with 12 3/4 inches just because I'm using an inch thick top board instead of 3/4 inch. So 12 3/4 from there to there. And then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna round off the top so that it has something to swivel on against the top of the plyboard. So we went 1 3/4 inch down and then 1 3/4 inch from the side. And all I'm using here is just a tape roll. So put that mark right in the middle there. And you can see it lines up just about perfect with the edge there. And then I'm just gonna mark along the edge. And then we're gonna take a jigsaw and cut off those corners. You can see the finished product here. I just clamped it to my table. I took the jigsaw around and then I sanded the edge to make it just a little bit cleaner. I mean, it's definitely still not super great, but I think it'll work just fine. So we're gonna do this one next. The reason I'm filming, so we got Kyle on staining duty over there so we can get out of here. It's already like after midnight. Oh God, there's so much sawdust. It's already like well after midnight. We're trying to get up out of here. All right, last step with this is I'm gonna take this 3/8 inch drill bit and just drill straight through that center hole. We're attaching them to the primary boards with these bolts right here. These are just galvanized carriage bolts, I think they're called. So they're 3/8 inch by 4 inch. And then we have some washers and then a wing nut. The hope is that when they go on there, they're gonna go on the inside, they're gonna be able to fold in and out. All right, so there's the legs, just all kind of drying up from getting stained. Kyle's still working on these guys, but the grain's looking real nice. And look at that hole. It doesn't look too bad all stained up. It just kind of looks like a, I don't know, like a natural, I don't know, defect in the wood. Anyway, so we've got to get this stained up. I got to make 2 more pieces of legs because I am stupid and only made enough for 1 board. So we're going to make 1 more of that, and then we're just going to drill using the 3/8 inch bit right there, and on the other side on each one, install those legs with that bolt and wing nut, and then, man, we're there. Well, I'm putting the carriage bolts through here, and then we're going to line the leg up so it goes straight through there. Just like that, and then when it folds out, it's got a semi-flat, not quite flat leg. All right, the last leg right here. We've got the 3/8 inch carriage bolts. They don't go through very well, so we're just kind of giving them a little love tap. And then line up this hole. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Look at that, this one's lining up pretty good. Boom. Okay, so it is currently probably about 1:30 in the morning. We started this at, what, like 9? Probably somewhere around 9. So that's what, 4.5 hours? I think if you knew what you were doing, you could knock this out pretty easily in 2. But overall, I'm pretty happy with these, man. We ran into a couple issues, especially with the jigsaw up here, you know, the legs not lining up or whatever, but overall, and I guess the frame itself not being like perfectly coming up seam to seam, but for my very first woodworking build ever, these are pretty dope, and they're something that we can actually use. Like I said in the last video, my 30th birthday is coming up this weekend, and that's what I built these for, so the family can get together and play some cornhole, and I cannot wait. So it's been a few days since we finished the cornhole build, and overall I'm really happy with it, man. I did throw on some clear gloss stain protectant on there to help the bags glide a little bit easier on top, as well as just protect that stain. And I do think that that helped a bunch in terms of overall aesthetics. And I'm really glad I routed the edges as well as of the top board. I don't know if it's tournament quality or specs or whatever, but I think it really added a nice touch and it looks really good. And you know, even the crack in the hole of the first board doesn't really bother me. I think it kind of looks cool, to be honest. And there's definitely a lot of things I learned on this. If this is your first time building something and you're trying to, you know, build one of these, a little advice I would say is, first of all, probably I wouldn't build the frame trying to do the 45-degree angles on the corners again. I think that was maybe just a little bit above my skill level. I couldn't get them to line up, obviously. I don't know if maybe you needed to let the glue set or just have a nice 90-degree clamp or something like that. But whenever I'd screw those screws in, it did certainly mess up the corners, and there's some overhanging and stuff. Not a huge deal by any means, but I do think that if I was to do this again or show someone how I did it, I probably would just say use the straight 2x4s. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with this build as my first build ever, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. I can't wait to use it this weekend with the family. And one thing's for sure, I'm definitely addicted to this wood crafting stuff, and I can't wait for my next project. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more of these, let me know down in the comments below. Let me know down just kind of what you thought of the whole thing in the comments below. We're still learning the best way to film these projects because they're obviously super long-term builds, so you know, it's hard to film that entire thing. But let me know what you guys thought of the filming, if you have any suggestions, anything like that. Subscribe to this channel if you are new around here, and thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Chad Christopher.